Fragments of Silicon may be found underfoot.
All right, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. I'm your host, Adam. Joining me as always are Petty and Gallix. Right, let us get to the weekly collective musings that constitute life. Petty, why don't you go since, you're in one of your continuing sagas.
Yes. So I guess mild bit of good news. Mom was able to set up a payment plan with the finance company for the roof. So theoretically we don't have to worry about them taking the house anytime in the near future at least. We do still need to
Provided they pay,
what? Yeah, I was gonna say
provided,
uh
that seems to be an issue.
um supposedly they can do $200 every 2 weeks, so hopefully we don't need to worry about it for long. In other my dad is a moron news, when we got the Kia, they gave us a check. They when he originally got the car, they told him since the loan holder for his Mitsubishi that got totaled isn't in the dealership that we went through his lending network. So they weren't sure if they could just wire that money directly to them to pay off his loan for his old car. And they said if they didn't, they would write him a check. Somehow, my dad thought that check was for him to pay the taxes on the new car, which, while the dealership does offer that, that's only for new vehicles. We got a used vehicle. So he spent 800 of that on taxes for the new car, and earlier this week was bitching about how the company that has the loan on his old car took $300 out. And after trying to finally explain to him that his old car has not been paid off yet, he just got pissed at me and said, fuck it. So I guess he's paying 2 car payments now. Instead of, calling them and see if he can get a smaller payment amount because USAA sent them 8 grand. So he's 2 years ahead on what's left of the loan now. He could easily have called them and to see about getting smaller payments for at least the rest of the loan term and then go from there. But instead, he's going to be paying $300 for the next like 6 or 7 months till that loan's paid off because he doesn't listen. So that's fun. Gaming news, there really is not a whole lot. I have not had much chance to, other than to play a little bit of the games for like review. I have not had time to play games for myself. After the house stuff is handled, I may see about renewing my Game Pass subscription because there's some fun things that have been added to that. So I may just get that back.
And the price is tumbled down.
Yeah, almost like if you reduce the price on something that you, for some ungodly reason, nearly doubled.
Look, we have an entire topic on this.
Yeah, well, I'll be getting into my rant there because it's part of the reason Xbox isn't doing very well. But anyway,
yeah. Well, anything else?
My sister and I are still looking into getting a Switch 2. It really depends on when the parents pay us back, and hopefully this can happen before. Is it September the price goes up?
I
think
haven't been
so.
keeping track of it really, but
I think they mentioned September the price is increasing, so I definitely would want to get in that before that. And I'm also
Yeah.
looking
it'll
at
certainly be easier.
Mhm. I'm also looking at the pictures of the green Series X, and I'm like, I kind of want that, just because I don't know if anyone has noticed. Green is my favorite color. So
Hmm.
and the original Xbox was the first console that was mine. I didn't have to share it with the sisters. It didn't need to sit in the front room. It was mine, personally mine. So I have a little bit of fealty towards the Xbox. So I would see about getting the 25th anniversary one, if assuming it doesn't get scalped to hell. But yeah, I think that's it
I know
for
it sounds
me.
like kind of a big assume.
That's the ultimate assume there. People have been scalping Beyblades, so Lord knows I'm gonna have to get in there on, 0 hour and put the damn thing on a
Mhm.
credit card. But anyway, next victim.
Well, since Mac isn't here, Gallix, you're up.
Oh God, why would Mac be here?
That's a
You
funny
said
joke.
next victim.
I know.
You said next. Ooh,
Um, not too much going on here. Mom's down helping my sister with childcare while they work on all of the associated stuff with trying to move up here, so that's good. Um, uh, this weekend will be interesting because we have Juneteenth off, and my normal Friday plans aren't available because my friend's wife is getting surgery, so he'll be helping take care of her.
Mm,
So I'll have to figure out other stuff to do this weekend. The local anime convention, is also getting close, so that'll be
mm,
fun. I'm thinking of taking some time off from work. I'm not going to stay at the hotel, but
mm,
uh, I will try to attend a bit, so that's good. Not a whole lot else, I don't think. Video game wise, I've been continuing to play Super Robot Wars Y and Mina the Hollower, because I'm not done with Mina the Hollower yet, and I got back into Super Robot Wars after taking a bit of a break from it.
mm.
I mean,
yeah,
I did it last week too, but before that I'd been on a break.
mm.
That's about all I got.
All right. Well, that means it's my turn. Well, let me see. So this week has been impressively more inconvenient than I thought it would be, mainly
And
because,
that is impressive based on what's been going on in your life.
well, it's more because my mother injured herself somehow.
Oh boy.
Like apparently she just woke up one day and her leg was busted up. Like
Mm,
not broken, not especially bruised or anything, but enough where she was having trouble walking.
mm.
It's been getting better, but
Muscular or like bone?
muscular, I
Mm,
think. Like she has to yet to go to the X-ray people. Um, we know it's known that it's not a broken bone, so like because she can walk. It's just
mm,
she was having difficulty walking, um, which means I have had to either take her places or, more infuriatingly, I've had to get her stuff,
mm.
drop it off. So Aside from that, I have picked up new shoes in advance of the birthday happening in a couple of months. Apparently, memory foam has come to sneakers.
Oh yeah, I used to have some memory foam sneakers. Unfortunately, they didn't have any that have laceless
Uh,
designs. So
oh, um, but yeah, I got some memory foam Skechers.
mm,
Um, so yeah, wide edition. Um,
yeah.
that's recommended for my feet these days. So, let's see. In terms of gaming, well, the good news, I suppose, is I have finally put Horizon Zero Dawn to bed. Which I knew was a matter of time
Hmm.
since I had already beaten the much harder DLC like midway through my playthrough. Like,
Mm.
um, so then I played the game, the meta game, if you will, of what do I play after finishing a big game. And after a couple of titles, I've landed on right now the Dead Space remake. Um,
I forgot that was remade.
I,
I'm going to be brutally honest with you.
I'm like, I'm only about half an hour, 45 minutes in. I haven't had a lot of time to play it.
Hmm.
Though that's partially because of the other game I've been playing, or compilation more specifically. That's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection. Um, you know, which
Is it
is
radical?
the depends on the game.
Fair.
I actually haven't gotten to that one yet. There is literally a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles title called The Radical Rescue. Like, I hope you're not too shocked at that because that is the kind of surfer lingo the 87 version of the Turtles used.
Hold on, let me pull over my fainting couch.
Yeah. But, good chunk of the time has been spent going through all of the archival material. Um, it's neat seeing some of this stuff.
Hmm.
Like it's neat seeing how they actually um determined how the enemy showed up in like the NES title. Fortunately, this is one of Digital Eclipse's earlier compilations, so it's in a much more dated format than what they did with Atari 50 and the Gold Master series.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know how they line it up for like the Mortal Kombat collection, the Rayman collection. Maybe it's similar there, but um, I don't like how the games are arranged in this because they are arranged seemingly at random. Like the first game, like okay, they got the arcade game first. Well, which bothers me because the first chronological Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game is the NES one. So it should be starting out with that.
Hmm.
But it moves to the arcade game, to the arcade version of Turtles in Time, to the Super Nintendo version of Turtles in Time. I suppose I can see where you're coming from in terms of the logic, but that it doesn't flow well because I think the next one is like one of the tournament fighter games.
Mm.
I'm like, I guess that's like Super Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, and then it goes to the NES lineup. But it's like, okay, but you didn't line up the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, next to the arcade game.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
little things like that that bother me much more than they should, I think. Um, but aside from that, you know, I've actually been starting with the Game Boy games, at least the first two. I haven't gone to the third one yet because that one actually takes a bit of time investment. That's the Metroidvania title. Like, um, anyway, So that's my news for the week. So with that all wrapped up here, merrily we shall roll along to the interview portion of the broadcast. And joining us this week is Rob Koska of Sawtooth Game.
Hey there. How's it going?
It goes well, I think. How are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty well. Taking a little break to chat with you guys here before I get back to. I'm in the middle of upgrading my game to the latest version of Unity here. So
Oh man.
yeah, I put it off. I was running on Unity 2022, and I kind of was thinking, I'll probably get it released in time to where it won't matter that I'm not on Unity 6 yet. But now 2022 is not supported, and I'm not ready to release, so it needed to happen.
Well, I'm sure we'll dig deep into those fine details in due time, but before we get into the technical minutia, we should probably start by digging into your background. And we tend to do this by asking this particular question. What got you interested in video games, both on a personal and a professional level?
Personally, we didn't have any video game consoles when I was growing up, so I had to go over to the neighbors to play, like, Mario Brothers and Excite Bike and Mike Tyson's Punch Out and all that. And so it was like this weird, cool experience where you got to go over to the neighbors, and I'll do that sort of thing. And then the thing that really got me interested in making my own was actually a book. The Dragonlance Chronicles books just really inspired me when I was a kid. And in the back of those books was an advertisement for I don't know if you guys remember the old gold box AD&D games like Champions of Kryn and all that.
Yes.
But I thought, man, it would be so cool if I could make something like that. I love doing creative things. I always have. And so that was the extension that I really got into for, making my own things. So.
Admittedly, I was more familiar with the Forgotten Realms gold box games.
I think they generally kind of did better than the Kryn ones did.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason why Forgotten Realms is the default setting now.
Yep.
But granted, when we're talking about Dragonlance, there was that decades-long lawsuit.
Yeah, I guess I don't really know anything about that. I know that Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman have not been getting along real great with Wizards of the Coast lately, but I forget what the lawsuit you're referring to, actually.
Galix, you might have more details on this than I do.
Not off the top of my head, sorry.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
regardless.
I know it's been contentious, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah. So, at what point did that burning passion eventually spill over into the overwhelming desire to actually build a game?
When I first learned what Unity was, I'm a professional software engineer, and at one of our on-site events, people were talking about, I forget what they wanted to use it for, but I'm like, oh, there's this game engine that does all the graphics and sound and physics for you, and I don't have to write that myself. Better check that out because this might actually be the leg up I need to really be able to actually do something on my own. So that's when I really started getting into the idea of making something myself.
And was this your first dalliance with, making video games?
More or less. I made a few text-based things back in college just to kind of, learn how to code and that sort of stuff. But this will be my first commercial release, and it's not the first thing I've worked on, of course, but first thing that's worth seeing the light of day anyway.
Right. I mean, that's a fairly typical story with how these debut projects go. There's actually a lot of prototyping that goes on beforehand.
Yep.
Or game jamming.
Yeah.
But I suppose it stands to ask, how long ago did you discover Unity? Or rather, how long have you been working on Revenge of the Firstborne here?
I discovered Unity about 10 or 12 years ago. As I mentioned, I used it through work for a while. We made this thing. There was a VR project that simulated color blindness, and so we used it. We called it the empathy generator as a way to kind of help people realize that the experience they were building on websites and whatnot were not necessarily user friendly for everybody, right? So that's what that was. So that got me really into VR, and I was working on a VR shooter for a couple years, which would be really the first game that I would say I really got into Unity heavily and started really learning and getting my feet, solidly under me, which was a great learning experience. But then I got to the point I'm like, you know what? I don't play many VR games. I don't play shooters. What am I doing? What am I making? I don't know how to make this good, right? So go back to the games I know, the RPGs, things I've been playing since teenage years, and start working on that. So
Mm. So, how long would you say that Revenge of the Firstborn has been in development? Like 5 years?
it's been 6 in May actually. The first Git check-in was 6 years ago, about 3 weeks ago.
Wow, that is quite a long time.
It is. Yep. I did exactly what to say you're not supposed to do and try to make your dream project out of the gate, right? Instead of something small. So
This this happens a lot more often than you think. Believe me, we have had so many people who have said that exact same thing. They just wanted to make the game that they wanted to make right out
yep,
the gate.
exactly.
Like, um, which I suppose is admirable, but also, yeah, time consuming,
Yeah.
especially when you have to learn the ropes as well.
Yeah, fortunately I kind of knew my way around Unity pretty well by the time I started it, but it's just such a massive project, right? That just working through all the things and getting them working together, it just takes that's how long it takes, right? For one person.
Right. That is the other question. How not just how many people are working on it. Are you doing this full time or part time?
Well, as luck would have it, I lost my job last summer, so I'm working on it full time right now. So there's that. It is primarily just me. I'm doing all the writing and coding. I do have a couple of artists that I've hired that are doing all the 2D art for the game that I've been really happy with. So
Okay. And like trying to ask this question gently, like how much longer do you think your current status will allow you to work on the game full time?
um, but for a while, I think. I mean, my wife and I have been smart with our money and working the way we did, and so we're doing all right now. I mean, we're taking money
All
out
right.
out of savings to pay the mortgage, but we have the savings, so we're blessed in that regard. And so I'm really hoping that I should be okay to get the game to release, and then have the conversation about whether or not the game is gonna make enough to pay the mortgage every month, right? So
Right, which is definitely a conversation to have.
yep.
But as long as like you're not doing things like going into debt, mortgaging your house to make the game.
Looking at
Oh,
you, Cuphead guys.
I'm not that brave. I'm just not. I'm too risk averse to do that. So if it ever gets to the
But
point where the savings have been used up, I'm gonna have to figure out something, right? So
right, I'm like, um, and what is the like current state of the game? Like, how much of this have you completed, and how much do you still have yet to go?
So the game has both a campaign and a roguelike mode that I call the Endless Dungeon. The Endless Dungeon
Mhm.
is mostly complete. It's kind of funny how that came about. I was testing all the different monsters in the game, and I'm like, I just have this empty scene in Unity where I'm fighting one monster at a time, and this is not a real scenario. So I ended up buying a tool that generates random dungeons, and I would run around a random dungeon fighting random monsters for a while, and it turned out, this is really fun. So I'm gonna flesh this out into a full-fledged game mode, because my scope wasn't big enough to begin with. So, but yeah, that's pretty well done. And it's in late beta testing for that. I'm hoping to be in early access before too long here, maybe early 2027, but that's not public yet. So shh.
Right, and it's also a moving target, let's say.
It is. When I announced the game last year, I had no idea how long it would take to finish, and frankly, how buggy it still was when I had people start testing it for real. I was kind of hoping to be in early access now. So
Oh, you sweet summer child.
yeah, exactly. It's been a learning experience the whole way along here, right?
Yeah, your first major project is going to be a lot of that. Um, even if you have a lot of experience, like tool set, or making smaller games. Once again, this is a story we've heard a lot. There's just so much to learn in making a big project.
Right.
Um,
And
and you
I'm fortunate enough that sorry to cut you off. I'm
Yeah.
fortunate enough that I worked in enterprise development for a long time, so I've got experience working on gigantic code bases where you can't keep it all in your head at once and that sort of idea. I have
Mhm.
a reasonably solid foundation in solid principles. I don't know how technically you really want to get here, but good coding principles, right? So it's not it's certainly not to say that there's nothing I would have done differently at this point, but it still hasn't collapsed under its own weight, so that's good.
Yet.
Yeah, indeed. But it it's compounded by the fact that this is also a 3D game, and especially that it's a CRPG, which
Yeah.
is like one of the literal biggest genres you can work in,
Yep.
just in terms of like size, content, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and as far as to that end, this is a good switching off point to talk about, the game itself in gamey terms, as in, what is Revenge of the Firstborn? Like, who is the Firstborn here? Why are they getting revenge? That sort of detail.
So one thing I didn't think about when I came up with the title was that in a lot of fantasy and medieval RPGs, the Firstborn refers to like the son of the king or whatever, right? Firstborn son.
Mhm.
In Revenge of the Firstborn, they're actually not even mortal. They are immortal beings that were created by the gods first, the first beings created, right? And
Mhm.
the whole idea of the game is figuring out why these firstborn, how many of them there are, where they are, why they're where they are, and why they would want revenge in the first place. So not to get too spoilery, but that's the whole idea is tracking them down, figuring out where they are, why they're there, and whether or not you want to help them. And in one of the two endings is which side you choose to stick with, essentially.
I see. I mean, using firstborn in a racial sense is um it's still a fairly well-worn trope in RPGs, maybe more JRPGs, the precursor race that's a lost civilization, um, technologically advanced, died due to usually their own hubris or weaponry or whatever, but it's still not unfamiliar.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Um, but um, who who are who is the you that is in this game, if anyone? Like, are you an actual character? Are you an avatar?
There's no set protagonist really that the player is going to embody in the way that there was in like Baldur's Gate or The Witcher,
Mhm.
especially. It's the primary inspiration for Revenge of the Firstborn was Temple of Elemental Evil. In that game, you just create your whole party and you go off and you have an adventure, and you're not necessarily you decide who your people are, right? Really. So that's more the type of party composition that Revenge of the Firstborn has.
Okay, so avatar style, um,
Yeah.
as in like the character is whoever you, the player, wanted or her to be.
Mhm.
Um, right, and so for this next question, I'm gonna hand this over to Galix for more detail, because this is the kind of thing that he's more familiar with, and that is the 3.5 SRD rule set. Um, like,
Like I said, that is
well, it's more,
yeah.
you know the particulars about this more than I do. So, if there's any sort of particular detail you want to ask, this is
I guess
the
the
point.
biggest question is regarding the 3.5 rule set is really good for things that are other than combat sometimes, in terms of it covered a lot of like skills and things. How did you handle that in terms of your uh, game?
Oh, the skills are all implemented, the same way as they would be in tabletop. You've got they're well-defined rules, so they can be codified into algorithms pretty easily. So, like climbing in the game works the way the rules say it should. To set check
You
per
can use
distance.
diplomacy on a guy.
Yep, those will show up in dialogue checks. And in my game, basically the character who has the highest diplomacy check in this example would be the one speaking that line. So it's not like the person talking to the character is the one who's always making the rolls. If you're doing intimidate, it'll be best intimidate character. If you're doing diplomacy, it'll be best diplomacy per character, and so on.
Before you go, one last thing.
That makes sense. That was my biggest main thing, is that this is a fairly open-ended system as opposed to some of the other ones. How specific are you with encumbrance?
It's generally exactly as in the rules, except there's I think I set it to 50% higher than what it would be in the rules, because otherwise you find your characters can only carry, if you get one set of full plate in your inventory, you're essentially
especially if you have a negative strength modifier. Sometimes it can be an issue.
So it's accurate in so much as how it works, but the amounts are more forgiving.
Mm-hmm. I suppose to some extent it's still probably try to get a bag of holding as soon as you can.
Yeah, I guess, and it's not really kind of like a loot porn game, so I don't anticipate people will be picking up every single old piece of rusty chainmail.
Are you sure using the 3.5 rules? Can you craft your own magic items?
Yes, the SRD crafting rules are fully implemented in the game.
Interesting. Do you have a restriction on learning what items are or do before you can build them?
Yeah. Well, you have to identify magic items that you haven't found, but I guess that's not really about crafting. But all the rules as far as spells you have to know to be able to craft a certain item. For instance, to craft flaming on a weapon, you have to know, I think it's fireball or something like that, right?
Fireball or something.
Yeah, I mean that's just an example, right? But other things like some items, you have to have certain skills. Like to craft a ring of climbing, you have to have a certain climb skill. For boots of elven kind, you got to be an elf. So that's all in the game too. So.
All right.
Wizard never rests.
Step inside, friend.
I think that's the main questions that come to mind. Those are some of the bigger stumbling blocks that I can imagine there being.
The question that I haven't been asked very often that I'm kind of surprised by is why pick the dead rule set.
I was about to ask that question, actually. What led you to pick SRD as opposed to, say, GRUPS?
Well, D&D, I know it really, really well. And 3.5, I know the best. I think 3.5 is much more crunchy than 5e. So it lends itself better to kind of a more in-depth tactical...
True.
Yeah. It lends itself better to a more tactical RPG experience. And like I said, I know those rules a lot better. And I decided to use an existing rule set basically because, well, with the scope I already had, balancing and creating a whole new rule set of my own just seemed like extra work I didn't need,
Mm-hmm. And as well as shifting focus away from the rule set to the world, how did you come up with all of the lore, backstory, etc., history, that stuff? Is it your own, or did you pluck this from somewhere?
Yeah, it's all bespoke. So it's a setting that I ran a campaign in. The old trite story, right? Making this game out of your campaign. But I love, as I mentioned at the very beginning, I love doing creative things, and that's what got me into game development in the first place. I actually almost went into creative writing back when I was graduating high school and deciding what to do, and so that's something I really, really love too. And I've gotten generally pretty good feedback so far in the game, so I feel like I'm reasonably good at it. So, yeah.
So, I suppose another question is, what do you call this world? What do you call this module, if you will.
Well, the world itself is called Madia, Madia. So,
Okay.
and I guess the part of it that the game takes place in is a subcontinent that ended up being roughly shaped sort of like India for whatever reason. But it's got 7 different kingdoms in it, and the main story takes place in a kingdom that has recently lost a war with a neighbor, so it's kind of down on its luck and not feeling so great about itself. So, um, that'll be one of the things the player will have to navigate. It's kind of the political fallout of coming
Step inside,
from
friend.
one of those kingdoms to the other one and trying to navigate that. So,
Okay. And digging a bit deeper, can people expect how do I put this? I do hate to frame it like this, but it's nonetheless true. A typical high fantasy set of races and character classes.
yeah, with picking the SRD D&D rules, I think that comes with, call it baggage if you want, but it comes with expectations about, a troll is going to be this hard to fight, elves and
Mhm.
dwarves aren't going to get along very well, right? And there's actually a I think interesting story behind that in the game that people can discover as why that is. But yeah,
Right.
it's pretty typical high fantasy. I think when you choose the D&D rules, I think that kind of comes along with the expectations that it's fairly typical in that sense.
And
Unless
I'd
you're doing
imagine like the kind of character classes you can be are like fighter, um, cleric.
That stuff is all in the SRD. Yes, the
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
core races and classes are all accounted
Mhm.
for.
Now, I suppose, to twist it a bit, have you added any sort of unique flares, like a race that wouldn't be covered in the core rules or concept, or a core class, that kind of thing?
I stuck mostly to the core rules. I do have a subset of elves that are called anathema elves, and there's story reason for that, and I would say that's the closest thing to any sort of bespoke new race that I've added to the game.
Okay, fair enough.
Because yeah, you could make your own, but you can't use a lot of other D&D stuff because of licensing reasons.
Right, yeah, like
Right.
Dragonborn, for instance, I can't use that because it's in the 5e SRD. Interestingly
Yeah,
enough, but
no
it's not in
Dragonborn, no
the
Warlocks. I
right.
mean, it's
Yeah,
just because of when they were invented.
yeah, I'm sure that's right.
Yeah. Or they're part of what they call the identity of D&D, like
Right.
beholders.
Product identity is for stuff that was in the core rulebooks but was not allowed in the SRD.
Right, exactly.
And
There's
the things that they chose for that, frickin' hilarious because they missed everything that would go on to become popular practically. They
well,
missed Drow.
yep. Yeah, I mean the serial numbers are certainly filed off of D&D to get it into the SRD.
Yeah,
Like
it's beholders, displacer beasts,
Mm-hmm.
uh
GIF.
what are the big ugly guys with faces on their faces?
yeah, the
Umber Hulk.
The
illithid.
mind
Yep.
flayers.
Yep.
Umber Hulk
Like,
Mind Flayers are probably the most popular thing that they actually included.
which is hilarious because Squaresoft, completely ripped them
Oh,
off for
Final
Final
Fantasy
Fantasy.
has ripoffs of Final Fantasy 1 is a D&D world and campaign
Yes.
with
Yeah.
the serial numbers barely filed off, but that's partially because D&D was just awfully implemented in Japan and did not catch on for a long time.
Yeah. So I mean,
Right.
usually as long as you change them a little bit and don't use the same names, you're okay. Like technically speaking, I have something in my game called an eye tyrant, right? And everybody knows what that is.
Yeah.
But it has a
Yeah,
little
Eye
bit different.
Tyrant is a fairly
Yeah.
standard
Wink and a nod.
beholder with the numbers filed off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Eye
And so
Tyrants are actually in D&D. Like AD&D second edition, I think. Like, I know I've seen them in like.
They use it as a name for one of the subspecies of beholder
yeah,
sometimes.
yep. Yeah, there was a handful of them, like the Goth, I think, and Eye of the Deep and all that stuff from the AD&D Master
Yeah.
Manual.
Yep. Anyway, shifting a bit once again to magic. I'm assuming magic is working fairly D&D-ish as well.
Yep. Yeah, the game's got about 300 spells right now, all the way through 9th level spells. I don't know if the campaign will go that high, but I really wanted to have that in there because I want the Endless Dungeon, the roguelike mode, to support all the way through character level 20. So you can fight all those things like pit fiends and that sort of stuff. They're the really iconic monsters of D&D.
Right.
Oh, what do you have for if you're allowing people to get up to level 20? What do you have for non non-specific or non-exact or emulating uses of wish that you're allowing?
Wish and Miracle are not in the game. They will not be.
Okay. Yeah, that would be tricky.
Yeah, I mean, Baldur's Gate had it, and I think what could you
I think
do?
fifth edition has nerfed wish.
Okay, but yeah, like the original Baldur's Gate, I think Baldur's Gate 2 only had, I think, limited wish, and you could use that to like raise a stat by 1 point or bring someone back from
Yeah,
the dead.
limited wish is much
Yeah.
more limited. Hence the name.
Right.
Also the fact that it's like level 7 instead of level 9.
Yep.
But yeah, no, the pure wish spell is that's the one that you can permanently raise your stats with. What else does it do? Anyway, the main thing is that it specifically has a call out for you can also ask for other effects,
Yeah.
and the DM gets to decide whether or not you can wish for that. Or
Right,
in Miracle's case, you can ask for other effects, but it depends on whether your god feels like you deserve it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's always the fun thing about legit tabletop, right? Is be careful what you wish for because you never know what could quite happen, and that's always fun.
But yeah,
it's
there's a lot of
especially
stuff in there that you can't do digitally because how do you even program that?
Yeah, that
Well-
was one of the complaints one of my testers said. He says, "Well, I'm a divination specialist, illusion specialist, and
Mhm.
there's no illusion spell for this particular level for me to pick as my specialist slot." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Well, the only one that's in there is like major image or something like that." And like, what do you even do with that in a computer RPG, right?
Your image?
Yeah, you have
Like-
to program in whether or not
Hey-
the enemies
Yeah,
are fooled.
it was major image, not mirror image.
Oh,
Yeah, mirror image is easy. Mirror image is just if they hit you, they probably don't hit you.
Right.
yeah. I mean, yeah, they were using that one in the gold box games.
Yep.
Yeah, major image is the one where you get to create a full sensory illusion in a very large area. And it can be whatever you can imagine, and everyone sees that. And how the hell do you program that?
Right. Exactly.
You'd have to just assume that your character has an extremely limited imagination and can only imagine like 5 different things.
Yeah. Should have raised a
going back-
higher. Should have had a higher in
Yeah.
score, right?
I mean, going back to the wish spell, like I've seen it where literal contracts are having to be hammered out because of sneaky DMs.
Yeah, that's when you, as the DM, say, the genie decides he doesn't want to deal with you.
Yeah.
Wasn't there an episode of the X-Files where Mulder?
Yes.
Yeah. he wrote
Literally
some long
that.
contract. Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I've seen that DM frustration as well. Just like, nope, not dealing with this anymore. Like, the genie seals you in a bottle. Anyway,
I think the easiest mechanical limit is the wish spell takes a 1-round cast. That is 6 seconds. So it's very easy to say the wish has to be something you can say in 6 seconds.
right. Anyway, so shifting things a bit more to thievery. How are you handling thievery mechanics in this game?
So I'm sad to say that pickpocketing is not in the game right now, and I don't know if it will be.
I mean, to include that, you kind of have to keep track of everything that every character has in their pockets.
That and it's in a tabletop game, pickpocketing and getting caught can be a lot of fun and really interesting. But in a computer RPG, it's pretty much a binary: I succeed or I reload, right? Because what are you gonna do? You're gonna get attacked by guards, fight the whole guards, and then suddenly you're an enemy of the state because you failed to pickpocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Um,
yeah,
Sorry,
Oh,
but yeah, trap. There's
thieves slash rogues have always kind of been done dirty by actual computer role playing games because their mechanics are a lot to keep track of, and
Rogues and high-level wizards, but high-level wizards
Yeah.
have enough going for them that they don't feel as bad about it. I
Yeah.
mean, the
Right.
wizard might feel bad about it. The DM doesn't feel bad about the wizard feeling bad about it.
I mean, the game does have like traps and hidden doors and illusionary walls and all that kind of stuff that make
Yep.
being sneaky and going up ahead of the party as a rogue, at least somewhat fun. So there's that.
backstabbing.
Yep, that's definitely, and that's absolute core. Otherwise, in a computer RPG, why would you even bring a rogue if you can't backstab, right?
So many of those games just never ask that question. Like seriously, like so many computer RPGs just did not understand what the point of thieves were beyond, disarming traps. Like, and that was it.
Mhm.
If you even got that.
I mean, there are a number of things in SRD that are immune to being backstabbed, more so than in 4E and 5E. But I think,
And Pathfinder, yeah.
yeah, but I think
Elementals, undead,
yeah,
constructs.
constructs, yep, oozes, anything that doesn't
Oozes,
have
yeah.
identifiable vital organs, right?
Well,
And that-
Pathfinder undid the exemption for corporeal undead because, I mean, yeah, the skeleton is going to be hurt if you backstab its fucking femur or something.
Yeah, oh, that makes sense.
But yeah, there were in 3.5 a lot of things are just immune to sneak attack, but also it's pretty easy to set up because you just need to flank with somebody, and
Right.
if you have a fighter in your party, then they're probably going to be able to be flanked with.
And now we shift to the fourth major branch of character classes, and that is clerics. How does I'm assuming clerical magic is working like D&D, but I'm more interested in the gods and goddesses of your world.
Because that's something that
What-
isn't in the SRD. Any
Right.
specific
Yes.
you have lists of domains, but not what the deities that use them are.
So in Revenge of the Firstborn, the gods are very hands off. There's three gods, and they're the ones obviously that created the Firstborn, and they had a big fallout in the beginning of the world, and because of that, the gods have really taken a very hands off feeling from the species in it, and so because of that, I don't really have them tied specifically to any sort of domains that you would think of in more of the traditional D&D setting. So the gods are not good or evil. They're not specifically tied. There's no god of death, for instance, for the death domain or anything like that. So the domains are there basically to fulfill out the rules, and the only real restrictions are based on alignments and not necessarily what god you're worshiping.
Okay.
What about the bonus spell slots for your domain?
Yep, those are in. Yeah, the bonus spell slots and the actual domain powers are now in the game. So like,
you get the domain. It's just they're not dependent on your god.
right. Yep. So you can turn air elementals as earth domain, like feat of strength for the strength domain, bonuses to healing spells for healing domain. All those sorts of things are in the game. So
Okay. And party size. Like how many characters can you have in your party, and how many are there overall, if you can speak to that?
So you create your full party of 6. I really hate the trend of going to 4-person parties. I think it really limits how much versatility you have to create your party. So I wanted to have 6. You can hire various hirelings for a total of 7 people in your party. And right now there's only 2 or 3 hirelings in the game because I just wanted to get that done for a proof of concept. There'll be more. There will be usually a lot of them will have little stories tied to them. One of the guys spoiler alert here, but one of the people that can join your party joins your party because he's running from a murder charge. So it's, how long can you keep him safe, or do you turn him in because you're doing the right thing? That kind of idea. Yeah, and if you have fewer people in your party, you get more XP, because I wanted to support that whole idea of I'm the lone wolf who's going to level up really quickly, but I'm going to have to be all by myself. So
Now, are there any plot critical NPCs in this game?
there are a couple. Yeah, the campaign is really not very well developed yet, so there definitely will be, but they don't all exist yet. So
Okay. And is the combat turn-based, real-time, or a combination of both?
it's turn-based.
Kind of got to be, otherwise you can't really do the more than one person in your party, everybody gets a turn every round
Yeah.
thing very well.
Well, yeah, I mean, the real-time with pause works reasonably well in like Baldur's Gate and Pathfinder games, but I just like the more tactical feel of turn-based myself. So
Right. And is this using any sort of system, like is it grid-based or hex-based?
it's actually not grid or hex-based. It's free roaming, which has been kind of a source of a lot of headaches with positioning and stuff, but it's working pretty well now, and I'm kind of glad I did it. I just like the verisimilitude of not having to move around in the grid. So
Duly noted. And let me see. And that'd be if I didn't ask this question. Is there any sort of romanceable option in this CRPG?
no, there's really not. Since you create your whole party of 6 people and you're not really specifically playing the role of one person, you're playing the role of a group. I didn't feel it really made sense. And also, I've never really been a huge fan of romances in games. I don't really do them, and so I didn't really have any confidence in my ability to write one well.
Fair enough. And that, yeah, that is a more old school mentality. But nothing wrong with, stepping away from a mechanic you don't feel comfortable in using. Like, and let me see here. I think that's about all I have in terms of the overall makeup of the game. Like, Alex, do you have anything further?
Not really.
All right. Um, so now I come to the music question. Are you making the music or somebody else crafting the tunes here?
Unfortunately, I've had to go with off-the-shelf music. I've bought a handful of different Humble bundles over the years and curated that, which is a ton of work, frankly. But yeah,
Yeah.
the budget just doesn't support
Count on me.
commissioning work. I commissioned some trailer music, and to scale that up to enough music to support a game without getting overly repetitive, just not in the budget. So
Right. Um, and yeah, that is a solution some people take, especially if they can't afford a composer. As long as the words generative AI aren't entering the conversation, I think
no,
it's fine.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan. I obviously like just about any game that's released now. I've had ChatGPT help me write some code here and there, but I consider that to be a far cry from generating music or story or pictures. So
Right. Um, and I know the Gen I Gen AI debate is getting ever heat up, but at least in terms of like coding, but in terms of art, it's generally um still hitting massive backlash over here.
yep.
In other areas, I'm hearing it's much more readily accepted, but that's beyond the scope of what we're talking about here. Like, um, and let me see. So, have you worked out any sort of pricing structure yet?
It'll be somewhere between $20 and $30.
Okay, that's about what I would imagine a game like this to run. Uh, and are you still going for an early access period?
I think most likely what I will do is release early access with the Endless Dungeon roguelike part pretty much complete, because that's pretty close here to being done. And then work on the campaign as going towards a 1.0 release.
Right. And do you have a set period of time that you want the early access period to last?
Well, no, I'm just gonna say no. Like I mentioned it earlier, I was hoping to have the campaign pretty well ready to go by now, and it is
Yeah.
very much not. So I'd hate to say, it'll be a year or it'll be 6 months or whatever. So I just hope it's not 10 years.
Duly noted. Right. So I think I've run through my gamut of questions. I'll see if my colleagues here have anything further for you.
I
I'm
think
good.
I'm good.
All right, cool. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks, guys.
All right. So yeah. It's been a very lovely conversation. And yeah, hopefully, development on this game doesn't last another decade. That's always a knock on wood scenario.
Yeah,
But
I mean, it's pretty well. I can't imagine that happening. It's the feature. It's pretty feature complete at this point. It's more about getting the content in the game now and fixing bugs. So.
right. So with that in mind, the game is Revenge of the Firstborne. It is currently it currently has a Steam page, so you can go and wishlist it, as well as a demo. What is in the demo?
The demo is part of what will ultimately end up in the campaign. It's a search for lore about the Firstborn, ultimately a document that you're trying to retrieve from a crypt in a graveyard. So you play level 5 characters that you can either take a pre-made set, so you don't have to level them all up, or you can level up your own characters and go at it that way.
All right. So be sure to go and try that out today. Right. So Petty, play us to the next segment. All right, then. So, welcome to the topic of discussion. So, I guess there's no real easy way to lean into what we're talking about this week. But if you've been paying attention to the news, you know what we have to talk about. And that is Microsoft.
Things are
Because
not going well at the Green Box.
no, they're not. And the new brain trust of Microsoft has actually been fairly upfront about how bad things are. It's just you kind of have to speak the Microsoft language. That is to say, they call certain things, certain things. Like I'm trying to remember the actual term used here, because it's a specific Microsoft term that they use for like profit margins internally that that the new lady used. And since the memo was published externally, it got retained. But I suppose that matters less than what it actually means. Because basically, new management and up to the overall Microsoft CEO himself have been saying that Xbox is getting a reset. And they are working towards building a sustainable business, because they have literally used the words, "This cannot continue."
They went on, like, what was it, 2, 3 years ago? They went on a studio buying spree
A bit more than that.
Mm,
It's actually a few layers of buying because about 7 to 8 years ago, they did a vast buying spree to pump up the actual first party development capabilities of Xbox Game Studio.
mhm.
The thing that is regarded as Xbox. This is and then came the Bethesda buyout, or ZeniMax, and then came the Activision Blizzard buyout.
Right.
Well,
Well,
so
those ones also aren't really looking at the axe compared to a lot of their recent smaller acquisitions.
okay, so here's part of the problem about talking about this. Nothing has happened yet.
Mm.
Like, nothing has actually occurred.
Well, didn't the
Everything,
studio head of the place that released, what was it, We Happy Few step down?
no, higher up, like
Mm.
a couple of like the overall Xbox people have left.
Ah.
Like, there hasn't been any reports about studio heads leaving yet. Like,
Mm.
but here's the thing. Bad times are ahead. We know
Right.
this much. Once again, new management has outlined this. They've said as much. This cannot continue.
Mhm.
Xbox is getting a reset. These are literally things that um, uh, Asha Sharma, I'm assuming that's how that's pronounced. Um,
I've not heard her
but
name actually said by a person, so I don't even know how to correct you on that.
right. It, um, but she has stated that um, this business is unsustainable because, okay, it comes down to the specific thing I was talking about before is like the percentage of like profit they're making from Xbox. It's the 3% number. Like, um, that's the reason why this is unsustainably bad is because what I have been told is the money that is coming out of Xbox right now is less than if they put that same money into a bank and
Right.
just collected interest off it.
So it's
That's
making money, but they could literally make more money just putting it into a bank.
like that's eye-wateringly bleak.
Yeah. That's the kind of
But it
shit they walk people out for, which is why Xbox has a new CEO.
right.
At
But
least
it's
part of it.
also like but it's also one of the oldest stories that that comes out of things.
Mhm.
We have a new regime. We have new management. New management is going to do things differently than the old management.
We hope.
Well, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Uh, and that actually plays into the narrative of what's going on right now because once again, according to the reports, um, a whole bunch of Xbox published games have gotten name checked as not meeting expectation or not being profitable.
Mhm.
But here's the thing. The mission statement of the Xbox division wasn't about making profit over game sale. under the Phil Spencer regime. Like, if you remember, they were all in on Game Pass.
Mm-hmm. They want
You know,
Xbox to
that
be a service.
yes. And in order to be a service, you need content. That is why the likes of Double Fine and Ninja Theory and Compulsion Games, the three studios that have been specifically name checked as being targeted for closure, were picked up in the first place. It's like it was irrelevant if South of Midnight made a profit or not, so long as it was buoying content for the service.
Mm-hmm.
But that's changed. That got changed for a few reasons. It's not just new management. This is actually something that has been off of the back end of the Activision Blizzard purchase, specifically. Because whatever other money was spent, and it was quite a bit, on buying these studios, buying ZeniMax, it pales in comparison to what the $67 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard, and that was just the purchase price, because there's more.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, not only did they spend literally a fortune never before seen in the video game industry over a purchase by a wide margin. At, like, I think a few mobile purchases may have approached this price, but it's also, Activision Blizzard is a huge organization.
Yeah. It's not free to run. They're still putting money
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, remember, like, this isn't even like purchasing Bethesda, which is not a small publisher, but Activision Blizzard was the number one, number two publisher overall before getting sucked up by Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, they put out the one product on the Activision side, Call of Duty, but Call of Duty is still an annual franchise, more or less.
Call of Duty for a lot of years is one of people's annual game buys. That was it. If they weren't into sports, they probably bought Call of Duty or Battlefield.
Yep. I'm like, so, like, there are literally thousands of people lined up just to support Call of Duty, to the detriment of everything else. Because like, I know the YouTube pundits of the world decry this because Call of Duty isn't their bad. Let's be honest here.
Mm-hmm.
They will couch it in like the auspices of creativity, but it's more, they're not making new Crash games or Spyro games or something they want. But unfortunately, from a financial standpoint, Call of Duty makes all of the money.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense to make anything else but Call of Duty on the Activision side.
Right. Because, yeah, I'd
Yeah.
love for, the, what was it, Red Octane to be making more Guitar Hero games. Instead, they were.
Okay, Red Octane is actually back.
Yeah,
and
I
making
saw
a
that kind of. I don't think it's
yeah.
the same crew. It's
No,
just using the name.
it actually is some of the same people.
Hmm.
It's just Red Octane is now out of Embracer.
Yeah, that's
It's
the
its
thing.
own.
And like
Yeah.
there was Neversoft, who were fed to the
Like,
Call of Duty mines and then never recovered.
well, Neversoft, they were fed to various mines over the.
Yeah.
They went from the Tony Hawk mines to the Guitar Hero mines to the Call of Duty mines, and then they were eventually merged into Infinity Ward because they were literally across the street from them.
Yeah, and they were literally like doing Call of Duty support work.
But anyway, but that's no different than any of the other Activision studios.
Yeah.
They're all doing Call of Duty work, which is one of the reasons why Toys for Bob wanted out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the Activision side. Blizzard, they've got Overwatch, Diablo, and World of Warcraft to support.
Mm-hmm.
And King, Candy Crush. They've got all of these very huge franchises that require a lot of manpower. Like
Right.
Activision Blizzard is just a huge organization, and we're just talking about the developer workforce.
Mm-hmm.
Because Microsoft has taken a approach of limited integration. Because like ZeniMax is still ZeniMax. They didn't turn it into part of Xbox.
Right. They're not sending boys to help with, Activision stuff or the actual
Yeah.
main Xbox Studio stuff. They're still working on ZeniMax
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. So all of that means so much more money is being spent here. So yeah, of course, so priorities, of course, fucking shifted after you spend, the equivalent of the ransom of 20 kings and a burn rate that is significantly higher than it was the year before this happened.
The burn rate also at the GDP of a small goddamn country.
Right. I'm like, so yeah, Microsoft is now looking at actual profitability, because Game Pass just hasn't worked out the way Phil Spencer's very, very insane expectations were hoping.
From what I've
That the
heard,
whole
before the price increase, it was doing all right. It was at least becoming profitable, and then they did the massive price jump, and they lost what was it, $500 million?
yes, and also Call of Duty,
Right,
because you know eh, all things are opportunity cost here.
right.
It's like you know
Well,
to
because
do one thing
before
will
the price jump, it was probably one of the best deals in gaming.
right, but also I'm talking more about sales
Right.
cannibalization. You know,
Why spend $70 on Call of Duty when you can spend $20 a month on Game Pass that you're gonna need to
and
play Call of Duty online anyway.
right, and literally the first thing that Asha has done was pull Call of Duty off of Game Pass. Like
Well, it's not like forever pulled. I can't remember if it's a year or 6 months they have to wait.
at least a year, because yeah, turns out they were cooking the golden goose.
hmm Again, why drop $70 on the new Call of Duty when you could, you know, buy 3 months of Xbox Live Gold, you know,
Yeah.
or Game
Okay, and
Pass
yeah, and
Ultimate
apparently
rather.
so apparently the people who just departed are Xbox Game Studios Craig Duncan and Chief of Staff Louise O'Connor,
Mm.
which are long-serving senior managers there who came up through Rare.
Mm.
Like, but yeah. Anyway, so that's the scene set, um, and unfortunately, once again, some of the punditry has been doing its usual aspersions towards what's going on here. Line must go up, making the investors happy, blah, 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 blah. No, it's more dire than that.
Again, it would have literally been more cost efficient to put the money in a bank than spend it on the Xbox division.
Yeah. And one of the things that's why it's such a hard beat to get on is because they are still trying to figure out the contours of the cut.
Mhm.
Like 3 studios have been name checked, but nobody's sure if it's gonna stop there. If
Mhm.
Turn 10 is also in the blast zone, if this is going all the way up to the untouchable. Like, are we gonna see cuts over at Mojang?
Mhm.
Are we gonna be seeing cuts over at Playground Game, the developer of the incredibly profitable Forza Horizon? We don't know. We don't know if it's just going to be Xbox
Is
or
Turn 10 basically going to be molded into Playground and just excess staff cut?
well, I
We
mean
don't.
that's already kind of happened
It's
from what I
already kind
understand.
of happening, but the doors haven't been closed yet, basically.
Well, it's more from what I understand. Turn 10 has been turned into a support studio,
Mhm.
because Forza Motorsport 2023 crashed and burned so hard,
Mhm.
and Horizon's just been getting more and more successful.
And
I'm like,
wasn't the new for like was it this year or next year's Forza Motorsport get canceled?
yeah,
One of the upcoming
I
Forzas
don't
I
know.
heard got canceled.
I'm like, don't know. Also, once again, we're not sure if this is just because everybody's talking about the Xbox division, but um, we're not sure if it's going to spill out into Bethesda, if
Mhm.
it's going to spill out into the greater ZeniMax sphere, up to Activision Blizzard. Some of the other rounds of layoffs have done this. Like
Right.
I remember Raven getting hit. Um, so you know, now that being said, I will provisionally give Microsoft some credit here in that they do seem to be, and not just for Ninja Theory, where by by UK law, they have to do some steps.
Mhm.
Um, they can't just like lights out and you're gone,
Yeah.
like they can here.
Turn in your
They've got
keys
better,
at 5 by 5 today
yeah,
type shit.
yeah. They actually do have to give some advance notice. They have to um like spend 30-45 days looking for alternate methods to keep the studio afloat.
Mhm.
But like from what's been reported, like apparently Compulsion Games and Double Fine are in active negotiations to see if they can gain independence once again.
Mhm.
Um, which is better than what fucking Sony would do.
Oh yeah, no. Sony would
Like,
have
no,
sent them the axe.
yeah, I'm like, so I'm not saying what Microsoft doing here is good, but there is a chance
Yeah.
that all of the studios survive. It's still going to be brutal because they're probably going to have to staff down.
Yeah. There's a chance they survive, but this may also be some of their last chance.
Um and it's also, yeah, um you know, people want to bang on about, big bag Microsoft, don't trust the big money, but this is why I grow so frustrated with a lot of the social media
Yeah.
clatter
If
because
this
it's
was
so
if this was one of those instances where Xbox was doing fine and they were just cutting people to make money go up, that's
it's
one thing,
not
but
just
Microsoft is not doing well financially.
Xbox isn't doing
Xbox,
well.
yes,
I mean,
Xbox rather. I keep wanting to conflate them, but yes, you were right. Specifically, the
yeah,
Xbox division is not doing well.
yeah. Because yeah, the overall Microsoft organization is still making
Oh yeah, no, Microsoft
billions
stuff
of
is
dollars.
flush with cash. Like they could probably buy
Yeah,
out a few small nations and not even think about it.
right. And indeed, we saw that in the gaming space. But then they bought out France or Germany. Like maybe like they bought out something really fucking major.
Hmm.
So it went from being a loss leader to infinite money to holy shit, we spent how much? Oh, okay, now we're going to need some money back.
Yeah, we're not making returns on investment. Oh shit.
Yeah. It's also once again Game Pass is floundering. Um, Unfortunately, AI is also in this conversation because that's the new shiny toy that Microsoft is really looking at among among everyone else in the fucking tech industry right now.
Yeah.
But it's also more than that. And that is they don't understand why Double Fine or Ninja Theory or Compulsion Games sold out to Microsoft in the first place. Like, and I actually paid attention to what some of these companies were saying when they got bought, not just by Microsoft, but by other companies. And it comes down to being an independent developer, especially at the size of, say, Double Fine, is about the most difficult thing you can be.
Hmm.
It's kind of why I'm actually really worried about their futures, even as independent developer.
Because they're big enough,
Because
they're unlikely to get another publisher to help with
well,
stuff.
it's it comes down to financing and sales because Microsoft has actually been acting as a patron of the arts here for a while here.
Hmm.
Um, like let's take Double Fine. You know, they purchased Double Fine not for the expectation that Double Fine was ever going to produce the next, insert big franchise here.
Yeah.
Because that's just not a thing Double Fine has done or
Since they were
stumbled
owned
into.
by Microsoft, they've only did what? Psychonauts 2 and Kiln?
Keeper.
Oh, Keeper, yes.
Yeah.
Honestly,
But
I
yeah,
keep forgetting Keeper exists.
but that's kind of the problem
Right.
with the likes of Double Fine. With a lot of Microsoft games, you probably don't even know that South of Midnight exists. You probably don't know Avowed exists.
Mhm.
There are so many examples I could pull from, and they were probably on the list of unprofitable games because they were meant for Game Pass.
Right.
And it's
I know
also
South of Midnight exists.
don't be funny.
I know.
Like my point is, it's also sometimes very critically acclaimed, like South of Midnight has actually won a rash of awards, um, including like it got a Peabody Award. Meanwhile, like Double Fine still remains your game developer's favorite developer. Um,
Hmm.
Even though like the likes of Keeper and Kiln, they haven't been that high regarded critically. Um,
Yeah, from people who I've heard that played Kiln, they like it, but it's not going to be like their favorite Double Fine game of all time.
right. Like neither game, um, but it's like the output that Double Fine had post Psychonauts 1. the stuff that gave us like The Cave and I'm trying to remember that Mushka doll game.
Stacking, something like that.
Stacking, that's what it is. Um, like those were very quirky, interesting double A affairs for the for its time. But and they seem to have done they did all right sales wise, but they were also not critical darlings on the level of Psychonauts, and we see
Right.
that pattern repeat here with Psychonauts 2. Like
Right.
Kiln and Keeper are very interesting, very quirky games, but they're not getting the kudos shown on it like Mina the Hollower is, or Mouse PI
Mhm.
is. So that's really putting Double Fine in the crosshairs because, you know, it is a bit of what's your function here? Because, and keep in mind, I'm speaking through the eyes of Microsoft's management.
Right.
Because, what are they seeing out of Double Fine? They're making a string of mid-tier games that don't sell.
Yeah. They're making games that their fans like, but stuff that their fans like won't get new people to buy their games.
Yeah. Yeah. And and there's being a lot of talk about the empathy of the studios because they are getting punished for essentially following orders. I'm like, yeah, welcome to new management.
Yeah.
Like once
Hi,
again,
welcome to corporate. You must be new.
yeah, I'm like, yeah, these developers were the favorites of um the previous the Spencer regime. They're gone, or they are getting gone.
Mhm.
Like new people are in, the axe is going to fall. Like, not that the axe hasn't been falling on Microsoft developers previous to this, but like nobody knows the scope because one of the other reports is we're seeing Xbox maybe spun off or
Mhm.
some sort of joint venture. Like that's also
Getting it off
why,
would be a little bit weird.
right? But it's also um, Xbox doesn't survive without Microsoft
Oh yeah.
because it needs the resources of Microsoft to survive. Like, but that's also why everything has been extra messy in recent time. Like, okay, so Microsoft just announced that they're going to be at Gamescom, and everybody's like, read the room. Why did you announce this? Take a week off. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, they're announcing this because this was probably done well in advance. In fact, it might have been, it was probably something that the previous regime signed up for.
Mhm.
Um, like a lot of this is probably, the ideas of, previous brain trust because the new people, they have not been in power very long. Now, we are getting a sense of what is New Brain Trust's ideas, and holy fuck, they are shit. We've talked about the exclusivity thing and how messy that's been, and why they lack credibility when they say Gears of War E-Day was always meant to be Xbox exclusive. It wasn't. Otherwise, once again, these things are, especially with how long games take to make, like, no, we would not be seeing fucking PlayStation 5 logos on actual marketing material. You know,
Mhm.
it's not even a good lie. But like, okay, so apparently, the reason why Sasuna Hellblade 3 was included in the Games Fest reel, even though even by that point they had apparently decided to end the existence of Ninja Theory, was, oh hey, this investor fishing.
Mm.
Like, where do I even start here? Like, I don't know if that's a thing that happens over at Microsoft AI or some of the other areas of Microsoft, but utilizing a consumer hype event to try and drum up investor support. Like, this is stupidity on a scale that we have not seen before.
Mm.
In that I
Mhm.
have literally never heard anybody try to do this. Because that's not how it works. Like, you're not pitching Hellblade 3 to investors. You're pitching that to consumers. You're pitching that to the buyers of video games, the subscribers of Game Pass.
Mhm.
Not, not somebody who will take Ninja Theory off your hand. You know how you do that? You go to an entity and you play a video presentation to them. You have a buyer in mind. I should not have to fucking explain this to people who are supposed to be business people. Holy fuck.
Mhm.
All you've done, Microsoft, here is erode a lot of trust and goodwill that you just built up for yourself. Like, seriously, the vibes of positivity were very, very high out of Next Fest. And I knew that was going to last because good news always precedes bad news. And yeah, a lot of people were calling, new management, cuts, layoffs, closures, etc., etc., etc. So that was always kind of lurking in the background for some people, but nobody was prepared for the muddling of messages and um, just slamming your face into the wall unnecessarily. Because it is a bit hard to just go off of social media because social media, even leftishly, let's say, is still filled with a lot of irrational emotion. But like, going back to the Gamescom announcement, it's like, okay, so now is every game that they're going to showcase going to get canceled? Because that's essentially what you've done, Microsoft. You showed off this new game that may not exist. So, it's just a case of meet the new boss, shockingly more incompetent than the old boss. Like, that being said, we'll have to see what shapes out of it, Xbox and Microsoft, because according to the reports again, we're not going to actually see the axe drop until July, after the reporting of the first quarter financial.
Mm-hmm.
And this may go all the way through to the end of the year, depending on what insane plans they end up with. But yeah, it's bad times ahead for Xbox. So I don't know, pray for them. And I think that's all I really got for this right now.
Yeah, I guess more to come later because there will be more later.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yep.
either, a post-mortem for some of the studios that was mentioned that may be getting the axe to, hey, Xbox is doing well again.
I'm not expecting that one.
One of those will happen,
Right. Anyway, so I think that brings us to the end of another Fragments of Silicon episode. So, coming up on the week ahead, once again, the weekly reminder that MSP is off until August. Hopefully, Mac will have some sort of semblance of order in his life by then, but I'm not optimistic. But that aside, so on Friday, June 19th, this is coming with the caveat. Petty, why don't you give the details here?
Because of the June 19th holiday, I was going to see about the dump closes at noon. So I was going to see if a friend of mine could, with his truck, take me to the dump to take some of the bags of trash out that we've accumulated through the cleaning before he goes off on a 10-day vacation with his wife. So if he gets Friday off, we will not be having a show because I will basically be getting up and taking bags of trash out to his truck and help him take it to the dump.
Right. So this is a bit on the bubble, but if that does not come to be on Friday, June 19th, we will end up talking to Jose Donaire of Tetsura Games. If you remember, we had Tetsura Games on the program not too long ago. But a quick recap here. They are one of the myriad of boutique indie publishers that have arisen in the wake of the success of limited run games. They're one of the companies that provide physical editions of indie titles. And we'll be talking about what they have, stuff like Long Gone Days, Cabernet, The Lost Case of John Morley. We probably talked about some of these before. Once again, because they are one of these boutique publishers, they have a lot. They have a lot of titles lined up, especially for physical. Like right now, they're hyping up physical editions for Genesis and Dave the Diver. I think this one we talked about previously, Pampas and Celine. Um, but if not, we will reschedule that. Um, probably in the new season, because I think all the other Friday slots might be taken up. I'll have to look at the calendar more distinctly.
Mhm.
Anyway, on the Sunday reviews, we'll be having reviews of Kyoku Last Summer, Dustwind Resistance, Sticker Ball, and Arrangement, a paper adventure. Arrangement's also a pun, as in origami into arrangement. I feel that is important to point out because it's all about controlling a piece of paper that can do origami independently. Anyway, so until next time, whenever that may be, I shall wish you good gaming.